It's Powertools, and we have Aluna in the house. How are you doing?
I am fantastic. How are you?
I am good. I am so excited that you are here. I mean, you've had an amazing career, and we don't have a lot of vocalists. I mean, you're also DJ, but I mean, the stuff that you've done, you've had releases with Chris Lake, with Diplo, with DJ Snake, Honeylove, MK, Skrillex, Kaytranada. We can go on and on and on. You're one half of the acclaimed Aluna George. You've had over 2 billion streams on your songs. Your latest single, Misbehave with Sidepiece, is fire. But let's go back to the beginning of Aluna, and I want to know, where did you find your passion for dance music? Because you grew up in London, right?
I actually did not grow up
you
in
did
London.
not? Okay.
I wish, mate. Oh, my goodness.
London was popping.
Yo, London was this mecca in my dreams.
Right.
No way, I did not.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in the suburbs. I call it the cultureless void.
Still, you're adjacent to London.
That is just, all that gave you was the knowledge that you lived somewhere very uncool. Because if you live far away enough from London, you might not know what you're missing. But when you get these commuter cities that are only accessible by like train or car, but you're 11.
Got it.
Right?
Right.
To 18.
Right.
You're stuck there. So you may have visited London one time.
Right.
And you're like, wow, people are so cool in London. Life is so cool in London. But I live here. And we don't have anything at all. Because why would you have any businesses that are an hour and a half drive away? So they didn't have a cinema. They didn't have shops. They didn't have cafes. They did have pubs. So if you like beer.
Right.
Then you're made. And that is actually literally all there was to do.
And what's that? What's that hub called that you were living in?
It's called St. Albans.
Okay.
Yeah. There was absolutely nothing. There's a swimming pool.
Right. So how did you, like, I guess when you're in that area, I guess you experience music, dance music through the radio, I would assume? Yeah,
so in one of those pubs, upstairs, there was a quarterly dance duo that came from London. They drove all the way up to St. Albans and they played drum and bass, and that literally saved my life.
What was their name?
I don't know.
Okay.
I can't remember.
And they would play drum and bass. Did you know it was called drum and bass at that time, or you just knew this music was different?
Because we had family friends who lived in London. And this one family friend was much older than me, and like him and his friends would DJ drum and bass in their bedroom on their Technics, and I was never allowed to touch anything. I was such a loser. I was from a girls' school, from the suburbs, from the sticks. So I just had to quietly stay in the corner and don't say anything, and don't give away that I am not cool at all. And that's what I did.
And then eventually you got into like singing and stuff like that. How did that happen?
That was, I had a boyfriend who had a computer, and he would noodle around on, I don't even know what DAW it was. It wasn't like one of the ones that we know now.
Cubase.
Could it? Yeah,
it was Cubase because that's what everybody in London
looked like, just like computer work.
Right.
And it ended up sounding like computer work. So he was like, "Yo, can you sing something on this?" I was like, "Sing something on that?" Oh, and like I discovered passion for the first time in my life, because the challenge of making a totally really, really bad piece of electronic music into a song with vocals was so challenging for me that time stopped. And I was like, oh, that's what they mean when they talk about passion. When you don't come up for air, you don't wonder if you're doing the right thing or what time it is or if you should be doing something else. You're like, I have to make this sound right or good or just better than however it started. It has to progress in some way to a place where I could like go to bed, however long that takes.
That's like, amazing.
All right, I'm hooked.
And somebody discovered one of these pieces. Is that how you moved on to the next level?
Oh, I moved on because I was kind of very serious from the get-go. and I could tell when people were not serious. So I would work with people on the basis that I have literally no one else to work with. This is the only person I know who's calls themselves a producer or has a guitar. There's very few and far between. We're talking like online chat rooms where people would advertise like guitarist needs singer. And like I would like answer some random dude and show us up at some random guy's house off the internet or off like an advert in a rehearsal studio.
Wow, you were really hungry for you had a strong passion. You're like, because you're not in London, so you don't have access to everybody. So you finally get into London. How was that? How did you finally get to London?
So I finally got to London by hearing about this empty house that had like the ceiling was falling through, but it was empty.
Right.
So me and my friend decided to move into this empty place and become squatters.
This is amazing.
And it was really crazy. Like coming from the suburbs to this absolute mayhem of like ex-convicts living in this place and like blowing things up in the street and threatening to burn the house down, like just because they were mad at someone. But also like me and my friend having like free reign in this insanely disgusting house that was falling to pieces. So we'd like paint on the walls. I made a 4-poster bed out of found wood just to like make something beautiful in this like disgusting place.
This sounds like a movie.
It was. Yeah. It felt like a movie. It wasn't. I didn't last very long there because squatting is like a full-time occupation.
Right.
And I was like, I need time to like make music, so I'm gonna have to go and get like some form of job instead, because that actually would take less time than squatting.
This is an incredible journey.
People should respect squatters more because that lifestyle is serious. It's a lot of work.
Right. And eventually you got into the duel with Aluna George, and you guys had some amazing success. What did that project teach you about yourself as a vocalist, as an artist, and as a songwriter? What did you take away from that?
So I found my voice with the person I was working with before, Aluna George. That was in a band called My Toys Like Me. And the way that we kind of did that was that my producer would lock me in not lock literally, but he would put me in the studio and be like, I'll be back later. And he would leave some like totally crazy, weird electronic synthesizer playing like dee-doo-doo-doo-doo. And I'd be like, where are you going? He's like, I'll be back later. I'm like, So you're sitting there with the vocal recording and you might try some things.
Right.
You know, like songwriters are used to being put on the mic, right? But how long for? I'm talking like 20 minutes at a time. And so you lose your idea, your brain just goes blank, and then you start just whimpering. Right. And so he would like listen through these long takes and find all these like interesting snippets where I wasn't trying and I wasn't trying to mimic or anything like that. I'd done all my ideas, and then I was just using my voice as an instrument, you know? And then he would play that back to me the next day and I'd be like, oh wow, that's interesting. And that's how I kind of came to learn about the uniqueness of my voice and how to like embrace imperfections very specifically because they were a signature of you.
Right.
And I thought that was going to help me much more than trying to be like a strong singer. Like my dad had not really had much to say about me becoming a singer other than I didn't know you could sing. But by the way, singing is Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey. I was like, thanks. Thank you very much.
Right.
This is true. And Etta James. I was like, okay, so I don't sound like any of these women.
Right.
I got to find something else. And then with Aluna George, George was from like guitar music, kind of guitar, poppy, indie stuff. Mm-hmm. So he was much more inclined to songwriting. Right. And I was developing now. I've got my voice, but like what do I do with it? And all these like meandering, random, avant-garde blips and blops and then like making words just fit to random noises was like kind of cool. But at the end of the day, I had to like present a story if we were going to play live. So George was all for it. We were like, how do we make really weird music with like pop song structure? And that was our challenge for a really long time. That was like our dedication of like, his interest was in hip hop beats, R&B beats, and my songwriting was very song based, like traditional. I like literally studied traditional songwriting in books and stuff like that, and poetry.
That's amazing. And once you guys, what was the song that you guys did together where you're like, we found the magic sauce where the weirdness meets your traditional songwriting? What was that? When did it click for you? It might have even been a song that didn't come out.
Well, there is a song that didn't come out. It was the very first song we ever made. It's called Make No Mistake. And it was really kind of brash and electronic and noisy and really fun. And we looked at each other, and the plan was for us to give this production that we'd made to the bandmate that I was currently with.
Right.
And he was going to take everything out and reproduce it. And me and George looked at each other and we were like, we quite like it as it is, don't we?
Right.
And that was like the beginning of everything. Because we were just so bowled over by this ability to work in one day, start with nothing and come up with something that was like really good fun at the end of the day. We were like, there's something here.
Right.
But you like it was one of our very earliest songs that we wrote.
Right.
And that the challenge that we had set ourselves there, like George's challenge that he'd set himself was to make a song without a kick drum. So he was just using the bass to create the rhythm.
Right.
And for me on the songwriting side is where that was my first kind of instance of a form of channeling that I consider a large portion of how I write. So I remember just was walking down the street and I just heard this line, you like it, but it drives you insane. I was like, wow, that's annoying. That's really annoying. I'd like to stop thinking that and think of some good lyrics. Let me try. And I couldn't shut it off. And I was like, I like really struggled. And I came back to the studio. I was like, George, all I have is this really annoying line. And he was like, well, sing that. And he was like, it's not that bad. It's all right. No, it's good.
Right.
It's fine. And that was, how we worked out to kind of, set ourselves little challenges and then try and meet them in the middle with like the two of us encouraging each other to create space for creativity and experimentation.
That's amazing. Let's talk a little more about that, because that song, I didn't realize that there was an original version. I only know the DJ Snake version. So walk us through that journey of you guys releasing it making noise, and Snake coming into it. Walk us through that.
Right, so we wanted remixes of that song. And so George and my manager at the time had their ear firmly pressed to the ground. They were able to find the hottest new producers. They were real internet kids, like SoundCloud. And they were like, Aluna, this guy made this song called Bird Machine. They played it to me and I was like, interesting. They're like, should we get a remix? He'll do it for £200.
Wow.
We were like, well, that's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money for a DJ Snake remix today.
Let's just do it. Do it. And
were you guys were signed, or were you putting out music independently at this point?
I think we were signed.
Okay. All right.
And so DJ Snake made that remix and we released it in the UK, and it was chill.
Right.
It was a chill response. I was like, yeah, all right, cool.
Right.
But Snake was then playing it in his sets, and he had some of his bigger, like more like early EDM songs going
Turn
off.
Down
but
for What and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, and he was looking to go pop.
Right.
He was looking to transition and develop. So he was like, I've been any of my sets with this song that's been going down really well. So can I release it as an original? Let's redo the business side and share profits and re-release this, but in America.
Right.
Where he was popping off.
Right.
So then I signed a joint venture with, I suppose Ireland signed a joint venture with Interscope.
Right.
To share me.
Right.
Globally.
Right.
In order for this song to get a new lease of life.
And then that song pops off globally.
Yeah.
When did you realize like that version like was really big? When was that like wake-up call for you, like, oh, people are really connecting with this?
Well, definitely when we did shows in the US.
Right.
Because it still doesn't trump, sorry to use that word, White Noise.
Right.
Which was the UK, which is our more UK, more known song. Because it was more successful in America.
Got it. Yeah, because it was a radio smash in America.
Yeah, it was like,
right.
I think 11 on the Billboard chart or something like that.
Yeah, it was huge. That's an incredible story of how a great song, when it's a great idea, can come back to life like a few years later.
Yeah.
You know.
I guess what the lyrics are about are, you kind of hit a universal hotspot for people where, you know, because it's really about empowerment of your unique individuality.
Right.
And I've always pictured someone on the dance floor who's one of those people that makes people stand back a little bit because they're like, whoa,
right.
that guy's going crazy.
Right.
And it's like you can in some way be snobbish about it and like, you know, he looks silly, or you can realise that he's having the best time of his life and you wish you could have that much fun.
Right. You wish you could have that.
So you know you like
energy.
it, but it drives you insane. So you can use that analogy for a lot of different things of like where you can't enjoy someone else enjoying themselves because you don't know how to do that for yourself.
Right. 100%. And let's talk about transitioning from a duel from Aluna George to releasing your music as a solo artist, because there had to be, that transition had to, I won't say challenging, but it had to have some vulnerability to it. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, mine and George's bond was so strong that it took a lot of different ways to prize us apart, and those ways finally accumulated. So one of the ways was that he wasn't touring with me on the live shows. I was doing the live shows by myself for quite a few years, and then I moved to America.
Right.
And so now we're trying to do this like transatlantic writing sessions.
Right.
And I started to feel like, you know, because I'm doing the live circuit and people are responding most to the dance music.
Right.
And I finally was like, you know what, let me try leaning right into this. Like out of the two of us, I was the person that would go to a rave.
Right.
He was the more R&B, you know, what people love about Aluna George is that R&B foundation.
Right.
And I was more of the like dance music kid because I love to lose my mind to dancing. It's just fantastic. So those were the, you know, a multitude of things that meant I went on a solo path. That solo path gave me, and also I tend to move towards what scares me the most. And a lot of things that scare me are things where I can see how much of a challenge they're going to be.
Right.
And me and George had definitely got to a comfort space with how we worked. And I was like, that's a dangerous space for me to stay in.
Right.
Just because I have to be challenged. I have to be challenged to face my fears or I can't develop as a person. That's just how I'm built. So yeah, going solo was terrifying and really hard work.
But it's paid off in an amazing way, and you've had like some incredible collabs, like the collab with Chris Lake, Begging. I mean, that has over 200 million streams, was an anthem. Talk to us about that collab and the inspiration for Begging.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I do think that your first impression that you have with someone can almost like skip a whole getting to know you process. So I don't know if you've heard me say this before, but I got to Chris's door and he has a really big door and a big black spiky thing hanging from the ceiling. It looks like I'm at like the Addams Family front door. So I'm already nervous.
Right.
And when I'm nervous, I don't behave like a normal human.
Right.
Like I grew up a nerd and a loser, so I'd switch back into that role real fast. And I like can't find anywhere to like knock on this door. So we just like sort of slap the wall a bit. And then Chris comes out and his stoop is up the stairs to where you stand.
Right.
So I look up at this guy. He looks down and looks really confused. And he goes, sorry, can I help you? And I was like, oh, Yeah, no, I'm here for the music session. He's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Did he forget about the session?
He evidently forgot about the session.
Right.
And also didn't have any facial recognition for me.
Right.
It was amazing. And the thing is about me, I'm English, so I don't do well with compliments.
Right.
I don't know if it's a universal trait, but it's much better to insult an English person first to break the ice than it is to tell them like, oh, it's so exciting to meet you. I'm a real fan. Like, we'll be like puking inside our mind.
Right.
So the fact that he was literally like, what are you doing at my door? I was like,
okay,
this is fantastic. So I was immediately like using it against him, trying to make us feel as bad as possible. He was apologizing profusely, and I just lent into that.
Right.
That's where begging, that sentiment of like being underestimated, being overlooked. But once he got me in that room, it was like, he was like, oh no, like he would say this himself, like, no, working with me as a songwriter, being a dance music producer it's hard to work with a songwriter who needs to write like a whole song on a piece of dance music.
Yep.
It doesn't really work.
Right. It doesn't.
But because I've been doing this for a while, like we were able to do that. And he was so refreshed by that he was like, how am I going to work with other people now? I'm like, I don't know, honey.
Right.
And so, yeah, that's what really, the inspiration for begging was that kind of feeling of like someone forgetting that you were even going to work with them that day.
Right. And talk a little more about that, because you're absolutely right. When I've been in sessions and a songwriter wants to write a verse, a pre-chorus, and a chorus, a post, a bridge, and you're like, this is a dance record, and you kind of have to let them go. When did you realize, like, okay, I just need to give a great hook and some verses? Like, how did you learn the nuances of writing to dance music?
By writing a lot of full songs on dance music, honestly.
And they only using the good part, not the good parts.
Well, no, because sometimes it's not like everyone knows what to do.
Right.
Sometimes a producer will be like, you need to write more because I wanted a vocal on this, so put more in it. You're like, okay, you want more?
Right.
It's not really gonna fit, but like I'll give you more, and they'll put the whole lot in there.
Right.
So, and it's so interesting. Like, it's not always the case that you want, not because like begging has plenty in it.
Yes.
It's got 2 different verses and a chorus.
Right.
So that could be considered really a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a crazy kind of balance between that production and the songwriting that sometimes you hit it and sometimes you miss it.
Right.
And so it's really volume. Like, yes, a lot of what I make is quality, but there's a lot of it. Like, my back catalogue is huge. Maybe not compared to a producer who's not putting vocals on every single song.
Right.
But
you've tried this enough to realize, you've failed enough to realize what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, as a whole. Like, I will know in general when to just chill and be like, go and get a coffee, or let's go and get something to eat. I think we're done here, but we'll give it a minute, come back, and then let's listen. Is
that also from your expertise of being on the dance floor? You know, when you're on the dance floor, I'm not listening to a verse, pre-chorus, chorus. Like, you kind of know what works, because some of the things, some dance music has to work on 2 forms. There's the Spotify version, but also has to work in a DJ setting.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, transitioning to DJing has informed me where that breaking point is.
Right.
And I still don't know if I've fully learned the lesson. I still, like, at the moment, I feel like I'm wanting to put more of my vocals back into songs where I've like done like 8 different versions, and we've gotten to a version where we like stripped almost like 90% of the vocals out, and I'm like, I missed the song part. Because the thing is, like, storytelling, you can't eliminate the storytelling completely if you have the vocal.
Right.
Because of the expectation of the ear assuming that you're trying to tell them something. So it's kind of like you end up having to make like a haiku, which I think is like, I don't know, 7 words or something crazy, or 12. And you still have to mean something.
Right.
So it's like sometimes it takes a few more words to mean something.
What song of yours where you felt you told a whole story? Like, what's your favorite dance song of yours where you're like, I told a whole story and this is amazing?
Oh,
one of your favorite.
Okay, let me pause you here. As an artist, I put out songs.
Right.
And at the point at which they leave my body, I no longer have an attachment to them.
Interesting.
So it's almost like when I hear my songs, I like hear them from an outsider. Like I become
a fan listening.
Kind of, but like not a quite.
Fan, but you're not listening like, should I change this? Should I make this note? Should we do this? Because you've worked on that song, you've made 30 or 40 tweaks on that song. You probably heard 30 different versions from the inception to it finally being mastered, to where at that point you're just like, I'm done with this. Like, I'm tired of it. So when you hear it again, it's almost like, okay, that was a moment, but your head's in another space because you're working on the next song.
Absolutely. You've moved on, but you've also in the studio get the privilege of almost like benefiting from the song. If it's a good story, you kind of get that kind of cathartic moment in the studio.
Right.
But you can't get that back. It's quite difficult to get that back.
Right.
You can get it back in the way that an actor gets something from the lines that they read every night.
Right. That's okay. No, I get it. Let's we touched a little bit on it. You're DJing, you're doing hybrid sets, which I think is really, really cool. Talk to us about your passion of wanting to be behind the decks, because that's a new, and I'm sure it goes back to when you were standing in that room when you were a kid, watching your friends play drum and bass and watching them on the techniques. Like, it comes full circle. Like, I get to be behind the decks and have that type of energy. Talk to us about that.
I do think it's like couldn't be further from singing.
Right.
if it was like another job entirely. And that's something that I've learned over like a kind of relatively short period of time. Like, I didn't start really touring as a DJ until after the pandemic. I did learn before that, and was, I'd say during the pandemic when I was streaming a lot, I was learning about what the point of me adding to the pool of DJs would be. Like, what am I bringing to the table that is different? Because since it wasn't my first skill set, I was going to be catching up, and I just needed a reason.
Right.
And that started to become about championing other Black artists making dance music. Because although I had seen that the way things had changed was that white male producers and DJs were the majority of that industry, there were some Black people holding the torch, as it were, from the creation of the genre.
Right.
And I just felt like there was so much noise that they weren't getting heard. And it was a kind of crazy criteria to put on myself, because crate digging is the majority of your time spent as a DJ.
Yes.
And so if you're eliminating 99% of the music, you're looking deeper and deeper, and it's taking longer and longer, and you're going through all these like back alleys of the algorithm and you're doing double research. And it was interesting. It was like a blessing and a curse all at the same time. And the blessing being that it really meant something to me when I found somebody, and it was possible that I'd be able to make a difference by putting them into the flow of, you know, my radio show and my mixes and my live shows. That felt really amazing. But it also made a home for me musically. I often am the token black voice in a sea of white music, and nobody even knows who I am because I'm detached. There's a thing about using black female vocalists and detaching their blackness from their voice so that they become just this entity.
Right.
So I wanted to make a difference to how I navigated the industry by creating a home for myself. So I would make those DJ sets where I wasn't the only black artist on there, so that I could hear my music in a place that it felt like it was seen and at home and with fellow like black female vocalists or black producers and things like that. Because I was looking at myself holistically now in terms of like, okay, this industry is not built to serve me. I'm here contributing, but I'm not being served to be sustained as a human being. So what little ways can I do that? And by finding every black person making music, dance music that I could, that's how I did it.
Wow, that's amazing. That's strong. That is strong. I mean, that's a lot of crate digging. Like, so let me ask you, who are some of your favorite DJs that you love listening to now?
I mean, I love Tisha. I love Jada G. I love watching Kalina Zonda's sets. They're really amazing. Coco and Breezy. I've watched them literally from the beginning of their career to where they are now, where they're absolute like main stage veterans now. And that's probably the most fun that my kind of pathway gets, like putting people in your mixes and then watching them grow.
Right. That's amazing. That's awesome. Let's talk about your song with Sidepiece right now, Misbehave. It's on Sidepiece's label, Lip Service. It's number 3 on the Powertools Top 30 for January. We've been renting the song. Sidepiece was on, and they talked about how they had to bring in a mobile mic setup because there was a buzz noise
to
the session in your mic. But they felt it was important to capture the energy that you had that night. Talk to us about that session and the inspiration for Misbehave.
That session really means a lot to me because I was going through a period of time where I hadn't worked with any white artists for a while. I needed time to...
Is Sidepiece white? No, I'm joking.
I know, right? Can you see the color? And I needed to know that I could trust, like that was my new criteria for working with white producers in the field. I needed to know that they were first and foremost going to care about my life as a black woman in the industry. And that means talking about everything from how I feel, navigating it as an individual, to the business side and how deals get made with, like, you know, there's a long tradition of black women in the industry being kind of exploited on the back end.
Yeah, you can go all the way back to like Martha Wash and, you know.
Exactly.
Yes.
And I have considered it important for me to lead by example. So for the first hour and a half of that session, they listened to me talk about my experience and made sure that they showed me that they understand the value of working with a black woman and what they can do to kind of join that, I could call it a fight or adjustment in the industry to start making it a viable place for a black woman to sustain a career and be respected on the business side.
Right.
Because that's where it matters. It's like all well and good saying you love our voice and we bring so much to the table and wow, wow, wow. But I'm sorry, it's got to be in the contract.
Facts.
Because otherwise that's just words. I can't eat words.
Right.
And they made it very, very clear that they were supportive, and they've followed that blueprint that we kind of created in that room. But it also just made everyone feel so much more at ease, because then everyone feels seen and heard. And although there were some technical issues, that song just popped out. I mean, it was so fast. It was like bam, 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 let's go to lunch.
Right. And aren't those always the best?
Absolutely.
Right.
But, you know, one of the things I have learned, you know, I would consider myself a first-class collaborator. There are lots of different skill sets that musicians bring to the table, but one of my top ones is collaboration. But I'm always still learning about how you, like, catch the magic and get in the mood. And one of the things that I've introduced was this process of, like, just getting to know each other, relaxing a little bit. I know you've got one day to make a whole song with this person, but it's going to be worth spending a really long time just chatting away and getting to know each other, because that will remove our egos from the room in a natural pace. And it won't just keep popping up here and there. You get that ego out of the room by, like, giving it some airtime, and then the flow is much, much, much quicker and much more easy.
That's awesome. That's really cool. I mean, because a lot of times you can get into a session and the producer already has the beat going, and it's just like, oh yeah, hi, you know, what'd you have for breakfast? Okay, you have any ideas for this track? And you're moving, right? And you're like, let's just slow down, let's get to know each other, let's just have a conversation, like humans.
I mean, I used to be such a bulldozer in the studio. If there was too much meandering, I'd be like, right, so let's get to it.
You were the opposite.
Yeah, I was really militant, actually, and I then turned around at a certain point in my life and realized that, especially around George Floyd, I was like, ooh, I don't know that everyone I've ever worked with cares about my life. Because we didn't really spend much time getting to know each other.
Right.
I was just a vocal to them.
Right.
And I was like, well, now knowing that, I have to do things a little bit differently.
Right.
I got to find out a few things about this person that I'm working with now. And I got to know that they see me as human being.
Right. Let's talk about AI. I know this is a very touchy subject in the music business, but I want to get your perspective, because
I have a great perspective on AI, and it's not a touchy subject for me.
Oh, okay. What's your perspective?
My perspective is that at this time, yes, AI exists, and it exists in many, many different intentions. And the one intention I have is to train it, because if we want a humanized AI that has, for example, the perspective of a Black woman embedded in its information, then maybe we can expect some outcomes that would not be biased towards things that don't serve us. If we don't train the AI, who's training it?
Right.
So with my AI, I have the thing ticked to say, use the information that I tell you to train AI. And I'm telling it, I'm asking questions like, if the betterment of humanity is to treat each other as humans, how can AI help us to do that? If we need to change the environment, turn the ship around really, really rapidly, what are the major things that we need to do and change and help in terms of the environment? Those are the types of ways that we need to be using AI at its best. We need to use AI to assist in the humanization of our structures.
Right.
And no one can stop an individual from training AI.
Right.
That's the time that we're in right now. So, yes, that all this talk of, like, use AI to make yourself a film or a song.
Right.
No, that is using AI to become passive. Use AI to become a higher form of yourself. Tell your AI about your aspirations for being a better person, and then get it to remind you when you're complaining about something that you haven't got or can't do. As for that passive effect, that's major. One thing we don't want to be doing is using AI to become more passive. So if you're training on an AI, train it and train it and train it. Don't let it hallucinate. Don't let it go off on its own. Don't let it do your work for you. Set your bar higher for you as a person and use AI to get there. That's the only way that it's going to be useful.
Right.
It's going to be used in lots of ways, but the AI wasn't the first way to create passive society.
Right.
So, of course, some people will use it that way, but that isn't its purpose at its highest level.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a tool and it needs to be managed.
Right. What is your, and that's an amazing, I love your take on that. What is your take on using AI for vocals on tracks? Because you're a vocalist.
Useless.
Right.
If you play any track with my voice on it, you know who it is.
Right.
That is because the majority of the time, I barely even used auto-tune.
Right.
Because I understood the value of imperfections. That is uniqueness. That is the way that the world is best understood is as an individual, secure your uniqueness, lean into your uniqueness, savor your uniqueness. So if you're using AI to do things to vocals or create vocals, the likelihood is that that is going to be a copy.
Right.
And that is of no use.
Right.
So if you want to make things that have little value, then then it's the same for pop music. It's not different. Like if you want to come into the pop music industry and copy the top 10 and make new versions of that, you can totally be successful, but you will be successful at becoming an agent of distraction. If that is your intention, that's fine. If that's not your intention, don't do that.
Right. Facts. Now, you have such a unique, I think, voice. Like you said, when I hear your voice, I know your voice. Who is on Aluna's Mount Rushmore of vocalists? Who are your four, like, these are the voices I love?
Etta James, Billie Holiday,
Okay.
Jeff Buckley, and Radiohead, Tom York.
Ooh, okay. He definitely has a distinct voice and a distinct style.
Yeah, it's a strange, like, whining, painful call into the abyss.
Right. Right. Absolutely. And you've had an amazing journey. If you can go back and give the 21-year-old Aluna one piece of advice, what would that be?
A piece of advice. You know, I don't know if you remember being 21, but taking advice from people.
Oh, you didn't want to hear anything.
No, right?
No, you knew everything at 21. You knew everything.
Actually, no, I feel like I do take advice very well. And I think I would tell her to go to the gym. Like, you're skinny, but that's not the aim of the game. You got to be strong.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you're starting to tour and stuff like that to just have, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I like that one. What does Aluna have cooking for 2026? You have Misbehave out, an amazing tune with Sidepiece. I'm sure there's other songs you got coming out, other DJ dates. What do you got cooking up?
Yeah, it's going to be a steady flow. I have music that I finished towards the end of last year that I'm going to be rolling out for the rest of the year and wrapping that in a nice body of work, an album. You know, I'm an album girly, even though, you know, dance music doesn't lend itself like directly to album releases.
Right.
But I'm from that storytelling world where I've got to like take you on a journey.
Of course.
I have to. I can't help it.
Right. So you'll be dropping an album this year?
Yes.
Okay, nice. Any collabs? Can you mention any names?
Can I mention any names? Not really. I feel like the best way to really get a taste is at a live show or like I'm putting some of those up online as well.
You're testing some things.
Yeah, I'm testing these things out, and that's the beauty of DJing that I've really started to embrace. And I think that's where you find out whether something resonates. And so that is like kind of informing like which songs, like at least it's going to inform like maybe like the playlist, what order I put things in.
Interesting. Because you
It's
could
fun,
tell,
it's
yeah,
fun.
you could tell when you play something, if that is really resonating energy-wise, making you move, then you would place that maybe towards the top or towards the middle of your album, to just so your album kind of takes them on a journey as well.
Exactly, yeah. So that's really the best way.
Okay, more DJ sets this year?
Yes, that's
Nice.
I'm gonna be pretty much on the road every weekend.
Okay.
For the rest of the year. Some weekends off. You know, I'm a mother as well, so I'm balancing between family life and the DJ road. So
Right. Awesome. Well, it's amazing having you on Powertools. We appreciate. I really love just your take and your passion about promoting, you know, Black electronic music and like really shining a light on that. I think that's very important. We appreciate what you're doing.
thank you so much. Yeah, it's important to me as well.
Powertools.